2. All right, we are officially at pick 20 in the NFL draft. We're just 3 picks away from the New England Patriots first round draft pick. Guys, are you surprised with anyone that's on the board right now?
No,
Evan,
not
go ahead.
really.
I'm surprised that the Raiders took the third cornerback in the first round. Damon Arnett was a bit of a reach, but I think that helps the Patriots out because I think that's going to certainly widen the number of options for Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Arnett, to me, especially over guys like Christian Fulton and Jeff Gladney, is a really tough sell. I think the Raiders look at him and see a guy that's faster on tape than he was in the 40 time. Pretty aggressive man corner. Looked pretty good against guys like Jalen Reagor and some of the other matchups when he got the chance to go up against some of the better receivers when Jeff Okudah wasn't taking those guys. So maybe they just like his tape. He's got solid tape, but just not really a great tester, not really great speed. So we'll see what comes of that. But I think taking him over Gladney and Fulton is probably the biggest surprise so far.
Yeah, I agree with Evan. I mean, he's more of a draft Nick than I am. I didn't even really know much about Arnett, and certainly I didn't think he was going to go in the first round. So that was a shock. I think what the Raiders did overall, I mean, to go Ruggs before Jerry Jeudy and CD Lamb, that just it makes no sense to me. And I like how Jeudy and Ruggs are now going to be in the same division. So now we get to compare them for the next 5-10 years. I don't understand that. And it surprised me because Mike Mayock and the Raiders knocked last year's draft out of the park. And it's like almost like they're playing with house money this year and they're getting a little aggressive. I mean, I think the names that surprise me that are available right now as we come up to the Patriots pick, to me, it's Chason, LSU edge guy. I thought he, outside of the top guys, I thought he was the next sort of tier of pass rusher. The guy just has unreal explosion. I mean, I don't know how the Patriots see him as far as a fit in their scheme. And also Justin Jefferson, who I talked to a guy who at one point coached Jefferson at LSU, and he couldn't stop talking about Jefferson. He said he was the best player that they had there, hands down. And so those two guys are big surprises to me that I didn't think would be an option for the Patriots. Let's see if they get snatched up here in the next couple picks.
Yeah, Chason just got picked by the Jaguars, so he's off the board. I think the Eagles probably are going to take Justin Jefferson off the board this next pick.
Yep.
So that's going to reset some things here. But yeah, Arnett was a real shocker.
Ebenezer is going to be on the board for the Patriots. It could be.
Absolutely. I think the Patriots are going to have the pick of some really good players here. I mean, really my board, once Jefferson, I assume, is going to go off here to Philadelphia. We got Josh Jones still, Patrick Queen still on the board, Xavier McKinney still on the board, both defensive ends, Gross Matos and Epinenza that we've talked about a ton. Kenneth Murray, Zach Bond. I mean, they've got pretty much everybody that you would think realistically was going to still be there is still there at the moment. Cesar Ruiz, I know we wanted to talk a little bit about David Andrews. He's still on the board too. I don't know if they're going to go into your line with that Andrews news, but everybody you expect to be there is right there right now for the Pats.
David Andrews just took to his Instagram just minutes ago announcing that he is cleared to play in this upcoming season. Last year he was on injured reserve due to blood clots in his lungs. So seemingly saying, hey, you guys don't need to draft a replacement for me just yet. I am cleared. I am good to go. If you guys had to take your bets right now, do you think that the Patriots are going to go with an offensive lineman with this first round draft pick, or do you think it's going to be at a different position?
Sarah, you make a good point about Andrews. I mean, I do. Now, I will say from talking to people with the Patriots, like they felt good about Andrews this whole time. And they know that he's coming back, that he was cleared. I don't think is any big news to them. And still the thinking in the building is that's great that we're going to have David Andrews, but nobody knows whether he's going to be able to last a whole season. And I know that's on their mind. As far as whether they would go at 23 with, say, a Cesar Ruiz or a Cushenberry or somebody on the offensive line as Andrews protection, I think that's a little early for that, even though I love offensive line play. But I do think it's possible. I don't think the Andrews news changes anything. but it's definitely in the mix.
So, Sierra, the Eagles are going to take Jalen Reagor from TCU,
Wow.
which means that the Patriots are now on deck here in the first round. And Justin Jefferson, my guy, is sitting right there. Just do it for me, Bill. I'm just asking for one favor. That's it.
I think there's a possibility the Patriots have the pick of the litter on the defensive side of the ball. I think they might go defense because you're talking about Kyle Van Noy and Jamie Collins off that defense. I think they might want a playmaker on the defensive side.
I wonder if it's the best case for them if Jefferson is available at that pick, if they can get another team that's looking for a wide receiver who didn't think that Jefferson would be available, that maybe that makes their pick more in play. I mean, I do know that if they had their druthers, they would trade out of 23, pick up some more ammunition in the second and third round. And maybe Jefferson's the type of player that could do that. But, if he's there and they're on the clock and they're going to stick with the pick, I don't know how they pass him up. I mean, I just think, like Evan has said, I mean, I think he's a perfect fit for what they do. I think he would be one of the most natural pass catchers that they've had, ever out of the draft. A guy who wouldn't, be thinking all the time. He's uber talented. He's smart. He's competitive. He's everything you want. He's a big slot. He can do a lot of different things. He would be a great fit for what they do.
That's really what it is. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was saying, I think no matter how you look at it, Justin Jefferson being on the board still when the Patriots pick is positive for them. They can either get that star power, fill that positional need at wide receiver with Jefferson, or they have that ability to trade because, like you said, Greg, if a team is desperate for a wide receiver and didn't think Jefferson was going to be there, a team might get desperate and give up a little bit more than what they originally could have gotten for that number 23 pick. So we'll have to wait and see. The Minnesota Vikings now on the clock with pick number 22. Do you guys have any idea what direction they're going to go here?
Cornerback. I would think Jeff Gladney from TCU is probably the next guy off the board here to Minnesota. They desperately need some cornerback help there. Just back to the Jefferson thing. I mean, Greg and Trags, you guys have been around the team a little bit longer than me. I can't think of a time where they drafted a wide receiver that's this polished and this pro ready. If they go with a guy like Jefferson, maybe like going back to Deion Branch, possibly all the way back then. That's the last time I can think of a guy. This isn't N'Keal Harry. This isn't Chad Jackson. This isn't Aaron Dobson, who has to learn and has to come, into a new system and kind of figure things out and is slowing down because of that. He would just be the most pro ready player at that position I think maybe Belichick has ever drafted.
You know what I think is also interesting, if I can just kind of throw a change of pace here and talk about the Miami Dolphins and what they did, because obviously they're a team that the Patriots are going to be concerned about now in the division. Austin Jackson, drafting him, a 20-year-old tackle out of USC, and for Tua Tagovailoa. I think that's an interesting play there by both Chris Greer, the general manager, and Brian Flores. I think you can see there that they are trying to build something, even though it's very young, on the offensive side of the ball. Both of those players, first-round picks, but they're probably not going to be really field ready until 2021.
Austin Jackson was a shocker to me as well, although there was a ton of buzz in the last couple of days that he was going to be a first-round pick. So I guess I shouldn't have been that surprised, but I had him as OT7 in this draft, and they drafted him much higher than that. Austin Jackson over Josh Jones from Houston is, I don't really know how you make that pick, but Austin Jackson did miss most of the offseason program last year. He gave a donation to his sister, a bone marrow donation to his sister to save her life, and he missed most of the offseason workout program. So he's a little underweight and just kind of missing a lot of that strength last year. Started to turn it back on a little bit towards the end of the season. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think he's an upside pick, because of the situation with his sister. Scouts talked about, like, he didn't look like the same person for about half the year, but he does have a lot of upside. I had him sort of a bottom of the first, top of the second type of guy. I thought that was a good pick by them. I could tell you one person the Vikings probably aren't going to pick is Diggs, the cornerback, who is Stefan's little brother, who they just had to trade away to Buffalo. I don't think they're going to go down that road again.
No. Well, let's take a look right now, position by position of need for the Patriots, who is on the board? We've got Jordan Love at quarterback and Jalen Hurts. Obviously, we were expecting him to be available here. At wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, obviously the big shock, as we've been talking about. Denzel Mims, we've talked about. He was one of our perfect Patriots prospects on our CLNS coverage this past week. We got T. Higgins, Cole Kmet at tight end, a possibility, AJ Epineza. And then we've got really a great linebacker crop to choose from here with Kenneth Murray, Patrick Queen, Zach Bond, all on the board. You guys, your last minute predictions as to where the Patriots are going to head here.
If it's for me, if it's not a trade down, then my order is Jefferson, Murray.
Patriots traded.
Ruiz. They did.
They traded out. They just traded down with the Chargers. So the Chargers are now on the clock in the Patriots spot. So the Patriots traded out completely in the first round. There you go.
There you go. I knew those.
No shocker
there. There it is. Immediate reaction to them trading down, Evan. Do we know where they traded to?
I'm trying to remember where the Chargers first pick. So they're what, 37, 38, something like that.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, 37. So I'm assuming they're trading back. This is exactly where we thought they would trade back to. Exact spot that you really thought that they would go to. I think that they can really have the pick of the litter there of a lot of different defensive prospects still, especially at the linebacking position and probably also on the defensive line. And there'll be a few guys there that they'll like at 37.
So you're expecting them to go with a defensive player there at 37?
As of right now, we'll see how the rest of the board shakes out, but that's where my guess would be. Yeah, maybe Antoine Winfield Jr. to the safety out of Minnesota, or Xavier McKinney. I don't think McKinney gets out of the first round, but maybe Winfield Jr. does.
I'm a little
like this.
Go ahead, Greg.
Oh, repeat that, Sierra.
So do you like this move by the Patriots to trade out of the first round?
I mean, I need to see what the return is.
It is. But we just got it. It's 37 and 71 for 23. So that's what you would expect.
Yeah, it's about what we expected, and you know, I do like it because I do think there's a lot of depth in this draft where they need help. I mean, it's going to kill some people that Justin Jefferson was there and they passed him up. I think the other guys, you know, even though I picked Murray for them. You know, Ruiz is a guy they could maybe get at 37 again, but I don't think this is where you get, Sierra, this is where you get the matchup with the team's board and everybody else. Because you get to, normally everybody says, all right, well, there's 32 first round picks. That doesn't mean there are 32 players with first round grades. So right now, right around this area, 20 to about 25, it differs between the teams, but maybe the Patriots had 21 players with first round grades, and then they have, say, you know, another 40 with second round grades. So they see the value as the same. So why not pick up a couple extra picks, get a couple more swipes at the apple there, and you know, I think it's a good move for them. I think where they are right now, as far as needing a youth movement, I don't think one player was going to make the difference for them. I do like them picking up two more younger players because I think that's a sweet spot in this draft, and they can get good players there.
So the Vikings took Justin Jefferson at 22. So I wonder if the Patriots, as soon as they saw Jefferson come off the board, they traded out.
There it is.
That would make sense.
There it is. So can we confidently say that Bill Belichick was ready to draft a wide receiver in the first round for his second year in a row?
I think so. I mean, look, when the player falls to you, and you've got to be ready for all scenarios. And I'm sure, like every other team, Belichick has the big board, and you go with the best player available. And if that player falls to you, be ready to pick. But maybe it was Justin Jefferson, and you know, once they got wind of the fact that Minnesota was hot on him, and the Vikings were going to take him. There was nobody else, like Greg said, that had their first round value on their big board. So that's why they made the trade down.
Evan, do you think that the Chargers at number 23, what made them trade up? Which player are they going and grabbing? Do you have any idea?
That's a really good question. I don't know. You know, just kind of looking at the board right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it's an offensive lineman. they just always seem to be missing offensive linemen there in LA. It could really use some guys there. But I think that's probably the spot they're looking at. You just drafted Justin Herbert. You want to go up and get him some protection. So maybe a Josh Jones, maybe even Cesar Ruiz at this point, or maybe they want to get him another wide receiver, although they have some good wide receivers there at that point too. So I think it's probably offensive line would be my guess, but it's just a guess.
Guys, any final thoughts about the Patriots' decision to trade out of the first round? We were all excited to talk about the newest Patriot to come into Foxborough, but that will have to wait till tomorrow.
It's typical, Bill. I mean, you're gonna hear people say tomorrow, like, of course, there's a pandemic going on. We're all starving for content and action on the Patriots, something to talk about. What does he do? He puts it off another day by trading down. I mean, it's typical Bill. I think it's totally. It totally goes with, his method of operation. I think it was a smart move for the team. There are a lot of good players out there, and I'm sure a lot of fans hate it. I understand that, but Bill's doing what he thinks he needs to do for the team.
I would have liked to have seen them personally add a showy defensive player, a Patrick Queen and Kenneth Murray. They're both on the board, right? Still?
Yep.
Yes.
I would have liked to have seen one of those players in New England. I just would have, and I think you would have generated some excitement to talk about. But again, that's from our perspective, and we don't know how Bill and Nick and the rest of the staff really view them. And that's, the beauty of this draft, especially the way the Patriots have always viewed it.
Well, Sierra, can I make one point?
Yeah.
Now that the Patriots do have a second and third round pick, they now have the ammunition if somebody does drop in this first round that they could jump back in and get them. Before, they didn't really have the ammo without a second round pick, but now they have that option. So I wouldn't quite bury them in the first round.
Great point.
But it looks like it, but I wouldn't quite bury them yet. They could trade back in now.
Yeah, we talked pretty much all the last couple of months about bridging that gap between 23 and 87. Patriots get 2 picks in between that gap now with 37 and 71. So now they have 5 picks between 37 and 100, which most people would say is the sweet spot of this draft. So it's classic Bill, like Greg was saying, that this is really the prize of the draft is going to be getting those 5 players, 4 players, whatever it ends up being, right in the sweet spot where they really want to be on day 2.
And the other thing I would say, this continues almost a streak of 20 years, 2004 being the only exception when Bill Belichick did not make a trade in the draft.
Yeah, so it was a predictable move, but seemingly so. We'll have a busy day to talk about tomorrow with all the Patriots picks on round 2. Of course, we will stick around just in case the Patriots do trade back into this first round to give you live reaction analysis. But for right now, we'll hang around until the Chargers pick at number 23 is announced, because we got to see what made them make that move and trade with the Patriots. And then you can be sure to check out all of our first round coverage on our website at clnsmedia.com. In the meantime, Greg, thanks for joining us. Greg Bedard of Boston Sports Journal.
Oh, so this is interesting, Sarah. The Chargers took Kenneth Murray at 23. So the Patriots miss out on Jefferson at 22, and then they miss out at the linebacker on 23. So this is, I mean, as much as I love them adding the picks, these are 2 guys right there that were probably right at the top of the board for them.
Yeah, I mean, that was my pick. So at least I got the spot right. I got the team wrong.
That's true. Good job, Greg. That's a point in some people's book, but apparently the Patriots decided that those two comp picks by the Chargers was a little bit more appealing than Kenneth Murray at number 23. We'll have all your first round coverage on our website at clnsmedia.com. We'll be back live on our YouTube channel at CLNS Media tomorrow for rounds 2 and 3. It'll be a much busier day for the Patriots. We'll get some picks. We'll be able to talk some new prospects. Can't wait to see you there.